Yo, 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 what up, my guy?
What up, homie? What's good, man?
Fucking ready to do this. I got a new light. I'm getting more professional so I can make myself look crispy.
Nice, nice. What, you got one of those like O-rings?
Yeah, yeah,
Nice, nice. Get those eyes popping.
for sure, for sure. I was just I was getting a haircut the other weekend. My buddy had that at his house, and literally I was at Costco and like the very first thing I see when I walk in was one of those. I was like, man, I was just talking to him about buying one of those. I was like, boom,
I saw that
here
at
we go.
Costco. I saw that at Costco too. I almost made the purchase myself, but I like the darker, more mood light.
For sure, for sure. Me, I got a lot of sexy, so I got to show it off.
Hmm.
And sometimes like the dark rooms don't show all the greatness.
I feel that, man. I feel you. If you
How's
got it, you gotta flaunt it. You know what I mean?
for sure, for sure. So how's this Friday night going for you?
Uh, well, it's been a busy day, man. My next
For
level
sure,
sore. I've been sitting in this chair all day. Had a big drop today, big
for
release.
sure, for sure.
So I've been in this chair. My next little kinked. I just poured myself a little Crown and Ginger. I hope it's cool. I can have that on camera.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Definitely,
Cheers.
definitely.
So now, how about you,
You
man?
know
How's your
what?
Friday night going?
You have that?
What's
I
that,
got
sir?
a little bottle over here. I'm gonna bring over. Hold on a
Nice.
second.
Yeah, yeah. What up, everyone? What up in the chat? I know this is kind of last minute. We've kind of known for a minute. I've been busy. So Eddie G and I have been chatting, and we got this going.
So I got leftover bottles from other crazy nights. I
Okay.
got I got this much of a 40 Creek,
All right.
and I got this much of a Maker's Mark.
All right. All right. Are you
So
mixing?
yeah,
Are
we
you
can
gonna
have a
make?
little,
Are you gonna make
like
a little
a little drink,
slosh?
a little drinky drink. You know?
What up,
Yeah,
homie?
yeah.
We
I
got
got
Australia. We
so
got
uh,
us.
so yeah so I want you to tell the people about this the drop today.
All
Big
right.
one, big
So
drop today.
today we dropped Under the Scope with Benny the Butcher and Rick Hyde. So Benny the Butcher, Griselda, Black Soprano family, and as I don't know what you would put it, irony, time, stars lining, kind of a cool way to remember this is today's the day Benny the Butcher signed to Def Jam. So it's kind of
Woo!
dope. I dropped Under the Scope today, and he signed to Def Jam. So yeah, that's the drop. That was released via uh, One in the Chamber Records on Bandcamp exclusive, first only. I'm kind of a big thing pushing is it's just on Bandcamp only right now. So if you want to hear it, you got to cop the track. You got to cop the vinyl. It came out on 7-inch vinyl, 45 RPM, 6 different variants.
Awesome, awesome, man. Like yo, vinyl's been making a huge comeback. I know you do the vinyl with when I first heard about you, it was with you did the track with Spade the Shadow.
Yep. Okay, that was the first time hearing. Okay, where yeah
Yeah.
we Spade and I Spade and I have been chatting for a minute through different producer outlets, Canada Facebook groups and stuff like that. And then he liked my sound and hit me up and custom tailored him a beat and yeah, it came. That track was fire. That was a really dope job. He curated some dope art, which actually was kind of like almost foreshadowing without even knowing
There
it.
it is there.
With the gold skull, he had the gold skull in there, and my release today with Benny the Butcher and Rick Hyde, the artwork by Sep, has these like robe cloth skeleton, gold skull skeletons. So
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, definitely. When I checked that out, I was like, yeah, this is a fire track. And then as I checked out more, I was like, oh shit, man, this guy's been working. Like he's been doing some dope tracks. I watched the interview on Breaking Records Radio. Like Breaking Records, they're definitely family daddy GTV.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, man. One of the things I'll say, I mean, this will be like one of the least humble moments I'll have. But like, I've always known, and in it's not even like that I'm being cocky or like anything like that. It's just, I've always known my music has been dope. And the biggest thing is just getting people to hear it. You know what I mean? Like, I've always known, even when I first started, listening to some of that stuff, that shit was dope. It needed some better mix and master, but like at the time I didn't know the industry. You know what I mean? Like I'm still actually selling and getting beats that I made back in 2012, 2013. Like some of those beats are still, and now they're getting the refresh, they're getting the polish. But the stuff I was releasing back then, if I was linked with Jamie Cuse, Nova Studios, that's who mixes and masters my commercial releases. If I'd linked with him back then, it could be a different story than it is today. But that just comes with knowledge. But I believe everything happens in its right time, in its right place, sort of thing. So, I've always known that my music was fire. It just people had to hear it. That's the biggest thing.
You're saying that, man. Like back in the day, prior to doing the interviews, I was doing songs. I had this song called "Cocky and Humble."
Yeah.
And it was based on being like, there's a time to be cocky and there's a time to be humble, and like people be like, oh, I don't want to be too cocky. I mean, sometimes like you guys stick your chest out. This is hip hop shit,
100%, man. I mean, I've based it's just my nature. Most people will tell you that I've based, a big part of who I am is like I'm giving, and like I'm very, I don't know, man. Like I had some people message me today. I don't always know how to take compliments, and like I can see the message, and I almost like how Instagram you get a message and you can see the preview.
Yeah.
And like, so I could see the preview, and I saw it was like a compliment, and I was like, fuck, I don't even want to open that because that means I have to respond to it. You know what I mean? And that's just me, and it's just like, yeah, sometimes it's hard taking compliments like that. Like I know I'm dope, but other people saying that I'm dope, that's a whole other thing,
For sure. I was even saying to there was a girl at work, and like she was wearing one of my hoodies one day, and one of my IGTV hoodies, and I was telling her, I was like, yeah, like sometimes like as artists and like different people that do media, or even like just like involved in this whole scene, like we could be having like the worst days ever, but then like somebody would be like see us and be like, oh shit, fucking, that's from like or like somebody you might know like you haven't seen them in a while, but then they're checking out your shit. They're like, yo, I checked out that last beat. This shit was fire. And like you're like, okay, like it just changes your whole mood, like right back to like where it needs to be. Like sometimes like you can start the day off in a fucking shitty mood, but like you just run into that one person that throw you that compliment, or it's just something like, or they're just like, hey man, fucking. You're like, oh shit, like the people out here are fucking with me. Like that's like, man, like it's cool to get love on the internet, but like when you're out and you get love, that's the fucking.
Yeah, man, I haven't had that. The one of the things I always felt like was a compliment, but they didn't really intend it to be, is like my real name's Nate Butcher, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people just know me as Nate Butcher. And so if I was out at a show or something like that, and someone would be like, yo, what up, Imperative? Like not wearing the hat or anything. Like they just know, and they call me by my producer name. Like things are changing now, and now people are like, yo, what up, Imperative? But like back then, just to walk into a show and they actually refer to you as that, because that's your brand, you know what I mean? And so for someone to actually, like, rather than be like, yo, what up, Nate? It's like, without knowing it, calling you by your government name in that setting is like undercutting, in a sense.
Shout out to my friend Larry Adams. Back in the day, him and another friend were shooting a video for me.
Yeah.
And I had this guy to come in and do a little acting part. And I never met this guy before, but like I introduced myself and I just said my regular Glenn Edwards is my regular name. And my buddy like looked at me. He's like, "What the fuck did you just say?" And I was like, "What?" I was thrown off, and he's like, "Yo, you're fucking Eddie G. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't introduce yourself as fucking like especially as your music video. Like, you're introducing yourself as like." I was like, okay. And from then on, I was like, yo. When I introduce myself, I'm like, I'm Eddie G.
Yeah, no, and you know what? It's I just had a conversation with Alex Kushma, Breaking Records as well, the other day, and we're kind of talking about the same thing. So it's funny how like the things kind of intertwine like that. But I was saying like it stuck with me all these years ago was like I was working in a skateboard shop, and the owner of the skateboard shop was a lot older. Like I was a young like teenager at this point, so looking up to the owner of the skateboard shop, like he was like, "Yo, this guy's really like cool." And he had his friend come in, and his friend just started seeing a life coach, and I think he was going through to be a comedian. And he was telling my boss how the life coach told him that, like, he was like, "Okay, well, like, introduce yourself." He's like, "Hi, I'm Joe Smith," right? And then he's like, "No, like, he's like, and I'm Joe Smith and I do this." And it's like, "No, you gotta be like, I'm Joe Smith, I'm a comedian." So I took that to heart. And so when it came to music, it was no longer like, "Yo, I'm Nate Butcher, I work at, you know, whatever job I'm doing." It's like, I'm imperative, I am a music producer. And it's just that, you know, it's how you present yourself. And if that's how you feel and present yourself, then other people are going to view that as well. It's perspective. So.
For sure. Like, yeah, like, it's that whole thing of like, it's time to be cocky and it's time to be humble. Like, if you're just humble all the time and you're just gonna say your regular name, and it's at a certain point, like if you don't show that cockiness, it's almost like people think you actually don't want it like that as bad as like other people want it.
For sure. I think it comes out in different ways though, because like, you know, I'm saying like, you know, I'm not that person that would come out and just be like, "Yo, I'm the best hip hop producer out there." I'll actually be the first person to tell you that there's probably a ton more like better producers and beat makers than me. I'm just good at other things that are able to market myself to make it seem like I'm a better producer. You know what I mean? Like, I bet you there's like tons of other basement bedroom producers who don't know how to upload their beat to Instagram or don't want to, because and that's the difference. Is like and this has always been my quote unquote genius, is to be able to like get by. Like I can make beats like I don't know, I think my beats are dope. Like I'm not gonna like just undercut myself or sell myself short.
Yeah.
But like I can make beats at like an 80% capacity. But then like I commission and I pay, like I know people that are better than me. For example, Jamie Cuse, who mixes and masters my products. I know he's going to take that mix and like my mix and master might be here, and his mix and master is going to be like here. You can't even see it on the screen right now. You know what I mean? So I'd rather pay him money for the things I can't do for my, you know, and then I know how to do Instagram. I know how to do graphics and stuff like that. So I'm proficient at beats and I can make dope, good beats. I have a vision, but I guarantee you there's people out there that can make far better technical beats than I do.
For sure. So like, what was the first programs you were using? Like I remember, I'm 36 now. So I remember when I first started making. What's that?
1985.
Yeah.
85 here as well.
Nice. So I remember like seeing like the first couple ones I tried were like this hip hop EJ, where it was like you have the drum pattern already and you have like the bass already, and you have like and then you just put three together and make a beat. And then I tried Fruity Loops 1, and I remember my buddy was like, "How the hell are we gonna make a serious fucking song on a shit called Fruity Loops?" But then like Fruity Loops evolved. I think I don't even know which one it's on now, but like, I remember coming back to it like 7.
20, I think. I think they're on FL Studio 20, or they're calling it X because everyone's calling everything X these days. You know. Yeah,
but I remember trying 1, and then I remember coming back to it and trying 7, and I was like, oh, like this is actually like something like. But what was the first like beat programs you used?
The first, I tried getting Reason. And that shit was just way over my head at the time. It was just way too intense. Rick Hyde, who actually is on the track Under the Scope, he makes beats too. That's actually how I found him. He was Benny the Butcher's producer before he was a rapper. I mean, he rapped, but he wasn't like Butch does. But he uses Reason. It's funny because I know what other people use now, just from like their Instagram lives and them talking. First, I tried using Reason. It didn't work. I got on Logic. Logic and I kind of clicked a bit, but it wasn't in making beats. Logic and I work well because I've been on Macs since like early 2000. So Logic is a very Mac user-friendly program in that sense. I tried getting an MPC 1000. The MPC 1000, the pads didn't work. I tried getting new pads. At the time, I couldn't get the pads, so I was like, this is fucking useless. So I really wanted to be on MPC because that's what the OGs were using, right?
Yeah.
Like the Kanye's, the Pete Rocks. So I really wanted an MPC, but the MPC 1000 didn't work. So I ended up having to sell that. And then I got this guy right here, my Maschine MK1. Now this is actually my second MK1. Homie has my first one, and I told him he can't get rid of it. He was supposed to be using it, but so if I ever blow, I was like, yo, you gotta keep that one because I want to keep that one on the wall. Or, but I've been on MK1 since like 2010. So I've been on this. I know like the back of my hand, you know. So
For sure, for sure. Like knowing certain programs. Like I remember a couple graphic guys were telling me like I was cutting my graphics out in this program Sony Vegas,
yeah,
and like I was putting together and and people were like, yo, like you're using that program, like your product's gonna be shit. And then they're like, and then like those same people are like later on they're like, oh man, that the graphic you did was really cool. And I'm like, yeah, I did it on the program that you said I couldn't do shit on.
yeah. I always tell people, man, like end of the day, like these days especially, like I had someone asking me in the DMs the other day about what beat machine they should get. And they were asking me, and I was like, yo, I'm on an MK1, which you can't even get anymore. I was like, I don't even know what's out there. I've heard good things about this. I was like, these days things are so good. You're getting an apple or an orange. And the thing is, if you buy it and you're investing $1,000+ into a beat machine, you're gonna put the time in to learn that. And just like I noticed MK1, you're gonna learn whatever you buy, and you're gonna know it like the back of your hand. So it doesn't matter what other people think, whether it's good or not. The thing, like, so I mean, I dread the day that I have to switch. Like I know because I'm still running like 2012. 2013 Mac iMacs just so I can run Maschine. I haven't wanted to upgrade my Mac because I know the second I upgrade my Mac, I'm going to get a whole new setup, and I don't want to do that.
Oh yeah.
My workflow is just way too like I can jump in Maschine, I can grab a sample, chop it, and it's done, you know. And if I get a new setup, I'm gonna have to. It's gonna be like a month learning curve. Maybe not a month, but you know.
Yeah, it's definitely a learning curve, and especially like if you want to stay consistent and keep on doing your shit, but like it's like you have to learn this shit like all of a sudden. Like yeah, I definitely hear that. But yeah, you're saying you're working at a skate shop, and I know like a lot of those skateboarding videos have hip hop in the music. It's a very like connected community, and is that something like have you gone to the music? Were you into the skating first, or?
So I used to snowboard competitively. It's the easiest way of putting it. I was filming for videos and shooting photos for magazines, and then I had an accident and I collapsed my eye socket. So I was snowboarding. I was at like kind of a crossroad, but without snowboarding, I didn't have my creative outlet anymore. So despite that being like kind of a physical activity, it is a creative outlet. So I looked for something else, and my brother was going to school in Vancouver at PAVI for music production.
Yeah.
And so I kind of I always loved hip hop, and the reason why I loved hip hop was because of those snowboard videos, songs. Like that's how I got introduced to the hieroglyphics. Like I can, and the way snowboard videos work too is you put the song to the video part and the video, you know, like and it syncs, like it's they go hand in hand. And so that being said, now if you follow my Instagram, you'll see that I still try and stay in touch with the snowboard and skateboard community. A lot of my beats and songs are actually used by professional snowboarder Jody Washniak, and he uses it in his podcast called Airtime. So if you are into snowboarding or that, check out Airtime podcast. But he interviews pro snowboarders, so he's used a lot of my beats for that. I was talking to him about using the Benny the Butcher Rick High track. It was supposed to be in a video because like that was one of my I just knew it would be a dope promo course to get it in a snowboard video or a skate, because like all those snowboard kids and skate, if you get that crossover, like hip hop is here, like you got to think bigger. So if you go to skateboard and snowboard community, then you're reaching that many more people. So I just want to say what up to people in the comments there. Bad Lungs, AM Early Morning and I. We got track coming out December 17th. In Downtown World, she's got a dope platform, does really great interviews as well. So just want to say what up to the people showing up and stopping in.
Yeah. Like so like the whole like snowboarding and skateboarding, like me, like when I was younger, I tried skateboarding. I could do an ollie,
Yeah.
and then I landed a kickflip one time.
One time.
One time,
No, but that one
and
time was probably the best. That was
and I
probably the
geeked out. I ran around the fucking like the whole like pound on the chest, like, oh my god! But like, you think I could do that again? Like, I spent hours trying to do that. But like,
that one time you did that though, that feeling, because like there's a video floating around of this little girl and she's trying to kickflip and she lands it and she does exactly what you just said, running around.
yeah,
You know, and that feeling you get from that, and that's what I attribute a lot of who I am today is because of skateboarding. Is you fall, and then you land it that one time, and it's that feeling that one time that makes you want to keep going and keep striving to do more. And that's carried over from skateboarding to snowboarding into my graphic design and now into my music and what I'm doing right now is, you know, I'm not going to stop until people, you know.
yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's definitely man. I love the connection. Man, like classic skateboarding thing. Movie Kids back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I remember my cousin was really into skateboarding and he showed me that and I was like, yo, this shit's fucking ill. Like, you seen that movie, Kids?
What's that, sorry?
Have you seen that movie, Kids? It's a
Kids,
skateboarding.
yeah.
Yeah, that shit was like that's just a classic.
That's
like,
right there. What was the? I can't remember. There's a new one that they tried doing that was kind of similar. Maybe it's '90s, the '90s. So I think that might be.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah. So you were living in Ontario first, and then you moved to Vancouver.
I'm originally from Ontario. Moved around a lot. Yeah. London, Ontario was the last place I was living in Ontario before I moved to Vancouver. So when a lot of people ask, because I started making music in Vancouver, so when people ask where you're from, I don't try. I'm just like, I'm from Vancouver. You know, it's just, yeah. I lived in Vancouver longer than any city ever. So Vancouver is very much home to me. But very full circle. Mid-90s, that's the one. Thanks, K-Sweet. But very full circle. 13 years later, I'm in London, Ontario. So 13 years ago, I lived here, and now I'm back. So I just moved back here 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Nice.
New apartment, so I'm still moving in, still getting art on the wall. But yeah, this is the new apartment.
Yeah, I just got plugs on my wall, and I've been here for a while.
You just got plugs? You could make that art, like... just you just get like a little tag and write an artist name on it, and then someone's like, "Yo, what's this?" And be like, "Yo, you don't know the piece? This is the plug."
Actually, I'm in talks about getting a piece of art. I had my shirts up here before, but because the way that Instagram flips the thing, my logo was always backwards. So I'm in the process right now of talking to people about getting the right piece of art for back here.
Or you can. I wonder if you could get one of those cameras that's got a flip screen, and then you can kind of see you, but see this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, could do something like that. But yeah,
you
so
need a piece of art. I just dropped these. Very dope under the scope. There's limited art prints, so I'm doing a shameless self promotion here. But
awesome.
There's 7 left.
I love shameless promotions. Like,
check. Yeah. Oh, look, you're on my fancy, like, this is automated right now. We'll go up. There we go.
Awesome. All
right, now I got to get back here.
Yeah, so I've actually got like I want to hear your opinion on this. I've actually got like a mixed review when I said I want to do this.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about getting a big ass drawing on my wall of me.
Of you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta make it like one of those George Costanza boudoir ones.
I was thinking like I have this old picture of me like I'm coming out of the kitchen. I look shocked and I have 2 oven mitts on. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm thinking like that's the picture.
Definitely do it. If that's in your mind, man. Here's what I'll say. Those ideas that we have in our head is you gotta listen to those ideas. You know,
for sure.
So if your brain is telling you to do that, then do that. That's that divine creativity that no one can take away from you. Listen to that.
Yeah, and that right there will be a big picture I seen the Breaking Records one. You're talking about how much the Big Picture is an influence to you. Classic album, Big L. You see the segue there? The Big Picture.
Oh,
Boom.
oh yeah.
But yeah. So you're saying that that album to you was like a big influence to you, like, and me as well. Man, like I remember hearing that shit. I was like, woo,
Oh
you know,
man, like
Casualties of a
his
Dice Game,
voice,
like.
his flow,
Mm.
like and like pun intended, the flamboyancy. It was just like, yeah, it was just I heard it and I was like, what, yo, what is this? It was when I heard Big L, the Big Picture. I remember I was at a homie's house and I was like, he had just got like a CD burner and like one of those picture press things. So I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
found a Napster download and like printed the artwork and like stamped it with the sticker.
yeah.
And but listening to the Big Picture with Big L was like my first time listening to West Side Gun. I got the same feeling, and I think that's why I relate. Like, and I just love hearing. I love West Side Gun. I know he's like an acquired taste of the three because people like prefer the more like straight rap. Like Conway and Benny, like they got the straight bars, right? But West Side Gun, he's just got that like you hear that voice, that hey yo, like you're just like you're
Yeah.
tuned in. You like you know whatever he's saying is slick, and you just want to hear it. You know, I got the Big Picture in there somewhere. It's in the records there.
So speaking of that, so I had the connection with Benny happen to get Benny on the track.
I made the connection with Rick Hyde. I have a good relationship with Rick Hyde.
Yeah.
And it just kind of came from like diving into this underground hip hop scene, this grimy boom bap scene, seeing who's who and that. And I kept coming across Rick Hyde and like, I just had this feeling like I knew he was going to be dope. And then I checked out his project Plates, which I have on vinyl. I ended up buying on vinyl and we just chatted. So then I got him on track Bricks, which dropped in September. G Casino, Block Lord.
That's fire. That's fire. Definitely check that out.
Yeah, and then through that, so basically, I made that beat that you heard for Under the Scope. I made it, and I was like, "Yo, who can I hear on this?" And it was like instantly, it was like Benny. I sent it to a homie. I was like, "Yo, who do you hear on this?" He's like, "Benny." And then I was on cruising Instagram, and then I think someone on Benny's team was like, "Yo, like we got some feature verses for the low or whatever. Tap in." And I tapped in, and then they were asking a fair bit. But with my relationship with Rick, we sorted it out and made it happen. I think he called me New Year's Day, and he was all happy. He's like, "Yo, guess what? We good. We're on." And then, like, I'm not gonna front like there's this whole this perception and misconception on how a lot of these collabs and you know things happen. End of the day, this is a music industry. We're still in the music industry. If RCA wanted, and RCA wanted an artist from Def Jam, they have to pay for that artist to get a feature. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
Benny and Rick Hyde, they make their career off like just like I sell beats. You know what I mean? So it's a give and a take to like I sell a couple beats and then I buy a verse from Benny and Rick Hyde, and you know, and that's just the way it goes. You know what I mean? Because like I spent money on a feature verse there. Now, if the beat was trash, I doubt they would have done it. You know what I mean? And Rick Hyde and I had the relationship, and he saw what I was doing on my social media and stuff. So it wasn't like, you know, whatever. But like Benny probably sells those feature verses and turns around and buys a 2 Chainz verse. You know what I mean? It's right. It's the circle of life. It's the way it is.
No, for real.
But like I hear a lot of producers, I hear a lot of artists be like, "Nah, I'm not paying anyone for anything. Like I want it to happen naturally." It's like my whole mantra is if you don't go out and get it, like it's not like sure some things might come to you, but it's not gonna fall in your lap. Like you gotta bless your ass. But like why would Benny, even if my beats are dope, he's already got Alchemist, he's already got Derringer, he's already got Harry Fraud. But now with this release that I just did, the promo, everyone tagging the post, the artwork by Sep, the vinyl, everything looking the way it does. That was all done strategically to catch his attention. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
for sure.
that's my like. I don't disagree with people, but at the same time, like everyone's open to their own opinion. But that's my opinion: is go out and get whatever you want, but just do it in a way that's going to make sense. And
Oh, for sure, for sure. Like, I definitely yeah, people thought like people have said to me like, oh, like certain interviews are like, oh, you must have paid for those interviews. For me, I completely get paying for the verses and doing all that for interviews. Like, I find a lot of times it's beneficial for both of us. Like we're talking about the project coming out, and we're having great conversations. But yeah, if I ever want like anybody big to do some promo shit for me, like yeah, I'm gonna throw out money, like like fucking and I just got a photo shoot done. I made sure I paid the guy pretty good because I want to promote
now there's
for my shit.
there. Yeah.
What's that?
I said like there.
Yeah, you have to pay the people that are doing work for you. But if it's a mutual thing, then we can just
And the mutual things do happen. They do come along. I work with a lot of artists, and it's 50-50. Like, I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I'm not going to try and sit here in front. Like, Benny called me up and was like, yo, I need a beat. And I'm not going to front like that. You know, it's a dope track at the end of the day. And that's what I wanted, is I knew my beats could withstand and hold having a dope MC like that. And that was, I wanted to prove that. And I proved that. You know, Rick Hyde actually just messaged me actually for the MP3. I'm like, they're on the Burden of Proof tour right now. I'm like, yo, imagine he just goes out and plays that like live.
Oh shit! Yeah. So how was that feeling when the Benny verse came in? Like when the vocals are in.
Oh man, like I had some homies and I was just like, I just listened to it and I was like, yo, like, and when he drops the butcher coming in there, I was like, like the only other time I've had that feeling was with the Mickey Fax verse on my full circle. I mean, there's been a few now, but like definitely hearing Benny's, like my homie Naki, I think he actually was the one who got me into Griselda. Like I showed him and he's like, and like, it was so hard to hold and bite my tongue for like almost a year because I got that verse like January. They worked very professional, so I'll say that. So like it wasn't. I've had some artists where it's like I'm waiting 6 months to get a verse back. They had it back within, I think it was like a week or two. And then as soon as I got the verse back, I was like, I have to get Sep to do the artwork. Like, and I messaged Sep and he was like explained it and he was with it and. Yeah, now we're here. We're finally at release day, like 11 months later.
Yeah, yeah, man. Like, you gotta make sure all the buttons are pressed, all the fucking, everything's like shined up perfectly. Fucking, like you were saying, like, promotion is such a fucking huge part of this. Like, man, like a lot of people like will put out their shit and think the work's done. No, that's when the real work begins. Like. Like.
I mean, yeah. Like, I think I announced this October 26th or something like that, like late October. So if you think about that the very first post on Instagram, like announcing that I had a track with Benny, that was step one, and all this shit was calculated. And now we're at November 12th, so that's almost 2 weeks, and. There's a bit of breathing room right now that I'm letting happen. And again, it's all strategic, and now we go into the digital release at the end of the month. So then we're ramping back up. So it's kind of like a story, when you see like, you have like the intro, the plot rising, the climax, and then you have the outro. And that's kind of what I've been doing. So people are going to get a little bit of a breather here, and then we're going to jump right back into like pushing the digital release.
Yeah, for real. So a lot of people ask producers like what their top fives are and like producer works. But like I want to go a little bit different. I want to go. Who do you think has the best drums in hip hop?
The best drums. Damn, that's tough because a lot of stuff I'm listening to these days, they don't even have drums anymore.
Yeah, 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 a lot of it.
Like,
Yeah,
imagine I said Nicholas Craven. No. I mean, when Alchemist wants to have drums, he's got knocking drums. What's his name? V Don. V Don always has knocking drums. Beat Butcher's drums. I got a bunch of Beat Butcher drum kits that I use myself. My drums are knocking. I got my own drum kit, Gutter Drums, Volume 1. I was supposed to have Volume 2 out this year. It just didn't happen. I couldn't get the mind state of doing it. I outside of like, I know I'm like really into this grimy boom bap, and I don't want to pigeonhole myself there. Boy Wonder is one of my favorite producers.
for sure.
And
For sure.
Boy Wonder has the ability to make a lot of different stuff. And his drums are always knocking as well.
For sure, for sure. Definitely, and definitely, man, like, a lot of people, like, yeah, like a lot of people, like, will look at, like, the type of people I do interviews with all the time. And man, I listen to, like, a whole bunch of different types of music. Like, man, like people, like, and I hear that from all different artists. They're like, man, like everybody that makes music doesn't always just listen to that type of music.
Yeah.
Like, people need to, like, lose that out of their head. Man, like there are certain songs that, like, people be like, what, you like that song? I'm like, man, I love that song.
Yeah, no, I mean, variety is the spice of life. You know what I mean?
For sure. For sure.
Depending on different moods, like I listen to a lot of Black. So 6 LACK.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I like YFN Lucci. Like, depending on the mood, I'm putting on YFN Lucci. But I also I really like Radiohead. I really like Tom York.
Right.
I really love like old school CCR, Cat Stevens. Those are some of my favorites. And just through sampling, man, I found so many musicians and artists that like I just like now, because I was like never would have had the opportunity of hearing it otherwise, you know?
Actually, me, I produced like the very first song I ever put out, but then but after that, I went with other producers and stuff like that. But I've always kind of thing of messing around with beats, and I remember it was a cool moment. I sampled all songs from the Doors. I sampled a couple different songs from the Doors, and my mom, like, that's her favorite group is the Doors. And I remember I had her over and I played it. And she was like, it's like she didn't even know any because the way I chop things, and like she didn't even know what it was. And then and she's like, I really like this. This is cool. And then I played each individual part for her, and she was like, oh, that's like that's this and that's this. Like when I like soloed every part, and like it was really cool. Like it was really cool to see her kind of like be like realize like, oh shit, all those are from the Doors.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, that's the power of sampling and chopping, and that's one of the big things I love about hip hop is like I love music. I love listening to music. I love the ability to be able to go and find all these sounds that I would have never heard otherwise. You know, like a big part of my beat production is me sitting here just listening to music. You know, and just doing nothing but listening to music. So.
Yeah.
So I want to see. We've had a bit of stagnant comments here. If you're still here, drop what up. Like, drop a fire emoji. You got questions you want to hear, let us know. But if you're still here, let us know you're here. I don't know if the screen's just frozen and we're not seeing it, but I want to see if you're here. Just drop a little heart react or something. But anyways, continue, homie.
Yeah.
Just wanted to see who's here, you know?
So for producers coming up and trying to like figure out their sound, like one thing that kind of stifled me is like I'd get some patterns going, but I could never get my my bass lines right. There was always something like that kind of like threw it off, so I kind of like just like kind of like put to the side, never really came back to it. Is there certain like certain things that go when you come to a point where like you just scrap certain beats at a certain point, or do you kind of like save them and come back to them, or you can't really...
Some I scrap, but for the most part, like I think like over the years now, like I've been making beats for 10 years plus now.
Yeah.
I think my ear is more trained now that when I hear samples, it's like I almost know from the start to finish what that beat's gonna sound like. So when I finally chop that sample, it's more or less just figuring out how to get there. But some I have so many files here. Like I don't. That's why I've been able to be, I think, successful, is because I've had such a vault and a backlog of music because I just make beats. And yeah, some days it would just be like, yo, I need beats to send to artists, and I don't have those right now because they're all machine files. So then I'll rather than listening to samples, I will just listen to these beats I've made, and then I'll be like, that one is dope, and then I finish it. Oh, that one's dope, and then I finish it. So it's just a process. Yeah. Some days it's just about listening to music, and some days it's about finishing beats.
Okay, so yeah, so you come back to them, like yeah, like and also making music and making beats. It happens in the same thing where like there'll be times when like you think something's fire, and you're like, oh man, and then you go and you make something to eat and you come back and like and you play it and you're like, what the fuck was I thinking, you know?
Yeah, you know what? And so I used to smoke a ton of weed, and I stopped smoking weed after I started making beats. Because it's funny because everyone's like, yo, wouldn't you be more creative or whatever? There's like this big perception that when you smoke weed, you're more creative. I don't fucking believe that. For me, I'm my most creative when I'm sober. So if you're in the studio with me, I might have a drink or two. Like right now, I'm not making music. I'm not being creative. I mean, I guess an interview is creative in its way, but like right now I'm chilling and I'm not exerting that mental capacity so I can have some drinks. But typically if I'm in the studio, I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I'm just focused on the music. But yeah, I remember like one day I was like, yo, this beat's dope. Okay, scrap. Okay, this beat's dope. Okay, move on next. And then after I listened to them all, I'm like, yo, these are all trash. And then it was like from there, it just like stop smoking weed.
Yeah, definitely. I went through a phase like a long time of just smoking. Before I do everything, I would smoke a joint. And now I just pretty much like limit it to weekends, and I'm getting so much more done.
Yeah. Hey, that's the thing.
Right. So
just like
right. So at one point, did you make music videos?
I filmed and edited a few music videos.
Okay.
I have a diploma in multimedia design.
Right.
So I've been doing like I used to film and edit snowboard videos myself, and then I went to school for it. So I could like there's a few that I have in my portfolio or whatever that I worked on. But if you wanted me to, I could come up with something right now if we had the time, the budget, all that stuff. So.
Right. So how did the name come about?
Imperative. The name actually came to me in London, so 13, 14 years ago. And I literally just wanted to know the definition of imperative, like the real proper spelling. And when I searched it, it was like Webster, Merriam, dictionary. The proper spelling came up, but then underneath it was this with square brackets on the side, and this is how you pronounce it phonetically, right? So in the dictionary, you always have the proper spelling, and then you have the phonetic spelling. And when I was just looking at it, like visually, I was like, that looks like a logo, even on like Arial font Times New Roman 12-point font. It looked like a logo, and that stuck with me up until the point. That would have been, I guess, 4 years later, and I was like, I gotta stop making beats. I need a name, and then I still had this name Imperative floating around, and I was just like, that's it.
Right on. That's dope. Like, did you have any like earlier names? Like my very first rap name was G-Dog.
G-Dog?
G-Dog.
G-Dog. I thought you said G-Dog. G-Dog made me think of like the guy from 8 Mile.
No, it was everybody was a dog back then. It was DMX, Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg. I was like, yo, I'm G-Dog. And like when I changed the name to Eddie G, the first time I heard somebody like from my past like say like G-Dog to me, I was like, it was just I was like, oh man, I wish I never had that name.
Yeah, no, it's been imperative since the start, since the
Yeah,
beginning. People always said that I should have gone with just my natural name. So my name is Nate Butcher. So, but the thing is, like, I think I already knew that people already had that, like the Butcher, like that was already a thing. Benny the Butcher wasn't even really around then, but it was just like other people had, like, there was just so many of that. And
yeah,
it had such a visual element to it. I didn't want to be Nate the Butcher. It just like, I don't know, it just
yeah,
wasn't me. Nate Butcher in itself, and even people were like, why don't you just be like produced by Nate Butcher? And I've thought about throwing around the idea of like imperative is like this one, like my main alter ego, whatever you want to call it. And then I maybe do like more commercial stuff, I guess, by Nate Butcher. That's still to be seen. I mean, we see now I guess at the time will tell, like it's all in the maturity. Like we see Alchemist now goes more, I mean, less on his like releases and stuff, but he goes by like on his social media as Alan the Chemist. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's a maturity thing, if it's just like, but it's interesting to see that he wants to use his real name, Alan. You know?
yeah, yeah, definitely. For me, like for my name, Eddie G. My name is Glenn Edwards, so it is a name flip from my normal name.
Yeah.
But also my grandpa, we used to call him Eddie,
Yeah.
and he was a big influence. Like he's probably like the biggest influence when I was a kid. Like my grandpa was awesome. So like I wanted to keep that name, and then I was thinking I'm like I gotta have something else like with Eddie, and then like one of my friends was like, "Yo, why don't you use your first initial, the G?" And I was like, "Oh shit, Eddie G." I was like, "Okay."
I mean, phonetically, it sounds good because the first part, Eddie, ends on E, and E and G, those complement each other, right? So Eddie,
For sure.
G, yeah,
For sure.
that flows very well.
And then the TV, fucking boom! Like
Yeah.
later on, I
Eddie
had the
G
TV. I
on
was like,
TV.
"Yo, I'm on this shit," you know?
Yeah, and then you're gonna do like a webisode series. Yo, it's Eddie G TV. I'm here in BC.
So yeah, so what like you still mess around with like oh yeah, you're saying you get the injury for the snowboard, right? So yeah, you see gonna do that no more?
I snowboard from time to time. Like I can, if you put me on a snowboard or skateboard, like I can still do shit that like probably like blow people's minds. It's just like so now. So back then when I was good at snowboarding, when I was in London, we used to do a lot of street riding. It was a lot of street rails. It wasn't like the mountain shit that you like think. So we would just like, it was me and like 5 guys. We'd go like with a pickup truck, drop in ramp, and go to arenas and get snow. And if we didn't have enough, and we had to drop, like we'd go hit city rails and spots like that. Um, so it's just very different now because like going to ride a hill, it's not the same. It's not the same adrenaline rush. It's not the same dopamine. So it's tough to go. The other thing is back then, I got everything for free. If I wanted to go to Whistler, for the most part, it was free. If I wanted to go to the local mountains Cypress, Grouse, Seymour, that was free. All my jackets and shit, I got that free. Boards I got for free. Now, like a snowboard itself is like a full setup. Board, boots, bindings, you're looking at 1,000 plus. And then if you want a Whistler day ticket, that's $100 plus. It's just like it's expensive, and it's just like I can't afford. Like it's a rich person's sport. I just came up from being like a grom in the city streets that managed to get good enough to catch the eye that people wanted to pay for me to do it. So
True. So yeah, so hold on. I think we have a question here.
my comments have stopped, so I don't know about you. Like my view, I don't know if like
I have a question here from Feza Bit. What would be your favorite artist to collab with?
who would be my favorite artist.
Yeah.
And who asked that? Sorry. Doesn't
Feza Bit.
Okay. I mean, I would love to work with Westside Gun. I would love to work with Kanye.
For sure.
Kanye is one of my biggest influences. We got Kanye there, and then I love this automated. It's like
Yeah.
but then like back here you can see I got the Fly God, that right next to me, right there. That's West Side
Yeah,
Gun. Like, so these are like I would love to work with West Side Gun. I would love to work with Kanye. Pusha T is another one that I would love to work with. I
for
love
sure.
Pusha T. Love Pusha T. Um, shit. I think it would be cool to jump in the studio with Boy Wonder. I think that guy's very, very talented.
If there was another producer, and like you know how to do the versus battles, producers, who do you think would be a good matchup for you?
A good matchup for me. Shit. Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't have the hits of that. I'm trying to think of people coming up right now.
Yeah, I'm saying like kind of like on you feel as on the same level as you, like or no, that'd be a good match.
Yeah, I got nothing right now.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
ask people in the comments. See if other people have ideas. I just can't think of anyone.
Yeah, like
The reason why,
hold on. I'll definitely be cocky for you. You're like, yo, I don't think anybody around here fuck with my beats. Like, yo, I'm gonna smoke, motherfuckers. You think somebody else is gonna be a close motherfucker? Like, you know, like okay. That's what I just took from that. You know?
I mean, it's not necessarily that. It's just like I I really just don't. I don't pay attention to other people. I pay attention to what I'm doing, and I just pay attention to what I'm trying to create, because it's less of a versus battle for me. That's my mind state, and my mindset is never about battling or being better than this person or better. I'm like, there is people out there that try and create music as like a competition, and hip hop has that very braggadocious element to it. Don't get me wrong, but for me, what I do is more so less on the competition side and more on the creating art side. So like even if this song flopped, like I knew that I made a dope piece of art. Like it wasn't like I'm trying to get more sales than anyone. No, I just wanted to create a dope piece of art. And if people wanted to hear that art, then that was my winning. You know, like I got the trophy today.
Okay, so let's say that so this the scenario. So you're going into the studio and you're working with the whole Griselda team. Like everybody's on this track. There's Benny, Westside, Conway, and you're hearing like they're playing other songs that they're on that project, and they're dope beats. And you're hearing that beat that you're cooking up right there. You're trying to have that beat be the best on the project, aren't you?
I mean, in that sense, maybe.
Because like yeah, like for me, like when I was doing songs with people, like even like some of my like good friends, I'd be like, yo, I'm trying to have the best verse on this song.
I see. I think it's different with verses. For the beats, I mean, there's something to be said, and having that feeling of people be like, yo, that was the dopest track on there. That was the dopest beat. There's something to be said about that. But if I'm working with an artist, I'm trying to create the perfect, like, I'm really good. I have some really dope intros that I do. Like, I've always been fascinated, like Meek Mill albums. Like his intros are just incredible, and for some reason that's always stuck with me. So I have a bunch of beats that are similar to that, where they're just hella dope intros. So sometimes it's less to me about being the best, but it's just like the best track that complements the artist in a way.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So for example, like my past work with Junk, right? I did the first project Together in Pieces. Starcore did the second one. Mason and Rex did the third one. Now, the one I did with him, that is an art piece, and I implore anyone that's watching this to go listen to those three projects, and then there was probably maybe more hyped beats that got you more energetic, and like we're like, yo, like I'm feeling this, you know what I mean? But if you go back and listen to Together in Pieces 1, like I guarantee you that you're gonna listen to that. It's a different listening process.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one song, like the title track called Together in Pieces. It literally has, and I wasn't even trying to follow. I just didn't want it to have drums, and it's just an 808, and then it's a choir in the background, and then the beat comes in later like 3 minutes later, and then a guitar solo. And I can tell you, like, none of the other producers on 2 or 3, and this isn't the competition, but like, no one was going to get guitar solos from people. Like, that's just where I try and create. I'm not trying to necessarily have the best, but I'm just trying to make the dopest art.
For sure, definitely. And definitely, I definitely want to thank you for coming on. Is there anything like you want to tell the people like you had the drop today? And tell them where to check that. You got merch, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So today we got Under the Scope with man, I just finished that drink and it hit me. No, I just dropped Under the Scope with Benny the Butcher and Rick Hyde. That's out now exclusively first on Bandcamp. So go to oitcrecords.bandcamp.com. There's 6 different variants of 7-inch vinyl. There's the print by Sepp. My merch is at imperative.bandcamp.com. IMPERETIV. I got, what do I got? So the digital release of this track, Under the Scope, comes out at the end of the month. December 17th, this might change, subject to change. I've got Let's Ride with Danielson from Toronto, and AM Early Morning, who was in the chat earlier, from Chicago. We're kind of in the rollout right now of my project, Burial Plots and Pyramid Schemes, which is actually a double album. So Burial Plots and Pyramid Schemes is side A, if it's the easiest way of putting it. I'm not trying to bite Westside Gun. I already had this idea for a minute. And then the second part's High Hopes and Lucid Dreams, which will come out later. So Burial Plots and Pyramid Schemes, High Hopes and Lucid Dreams. So that's the 2 different projects. So Burial Plots and Pyramid Schemes is on its way. Also got a project with Shayna Ashley, female battle rapper. Got a project coming with Ace Eastwood. Got some music in the works with G4 Jag. And you know I got a slew of singles and stuff like that. So tons of music.
Dope. I want to make sure I got everybody on here. You subscribe to Eddie G TV on YouTube. I drop something every day. I have clips from the interviews. I either put up a full interview or I put up a clip from the interview. But I have something out every day. So yeah, so I want people to subscribe to that as well. You know?
Hey yo, you're listening to Eddie G TV. This is Imperative. Listen to the kid.
All right, yo, peace.
Peace on me.
Yeah.